few sets left. Run through most of the line. We got a big line today. No activity on the hogs, which is disappointing. But I was going to show you a couple of my sets and just some of the, in my effort to use kind of natural baits and do little things different. So this is a dirt hole that I showed you the other day, and I was actually pretty sure my bait's gone. I don't know. It's up the tail, and you can't see anything because of the shadow. But not very much backing, minimal backing. A bigger hole. Now this location wasn't. I'm using my tile spade to try to dig the holes, and the dirt was not as soft as I thought it would be, so I made a kind of a big hole, maybe 6 inches, and then took my 1.5 inch auger bit and drilled a deeper hole to try to get my bait deeper, so that if anything worked it wouldn't be able to get the bait out right away. So I got that. Again, not necessarily your typical scenario. This is in a woods road, not necessarily an intersection, although there's some trails that cross right in here. And then if you're just looking at the sign, and it's probably a little bit easier because parts of this is kind of sandy, but there's a lot of, and you can't tell it because I've been riding over it, but there's a lot of sign and tracks through here. So, in just kind of my different take on the typical locations. So here's my other set right across the road. And I just used this large piece of wood here, and I've actually got a goose carcass tucked right up underneath it, a little bit of feather showing, and then my trap is right out here blended in. So I did kind of the Zagger style of made my trap bed, hammered it out, put the trap in, fit just right. No dirt sifted on it, just grass covering, and with all this broom sedge and stuff, it was easy enough just to grab some of that, sprinkle it. I mean, that sucker's blended in spectacularly, I feel like, anyway. I do have a drag on this, so it's running around, and actually right back there, I didn't have anything to hook it on, but with all this pine plantation, shouldn't go far, whatever gets caught. So, and I do have, I'd have to check in my notes, but I do have a little bit of, let's see here, what do I have? I've got some Dobbins Coyote gland and some Weiser's Old Reliable there. So anyway, we've had some cold weather the last couple of days. There's some old scat there. So just trying to set more on sign and less on location, if that makes sense. So we've got a couple more sets to check, and we'll see what we get for the day. So I figured I'd at least give you a little something else to think about. Here's another one of my different sets. There's a food plot right here, a big creek that runs down, and this is just the intersection of the planted pines and the creek bottom, and just kind of a water bar situation here. You can see it's pretty heavily traveled by deer, and I'm assuming coyotes and cats are running it too. And so I actually just took one of my skinned beaver tails. So I've been keeping the tails from when I skin them, I've been keeping the internal inside tails. I wished I had some wire, but I just took some zip ties, zip tied it to that tree, and I got my trap right there blended. I've got a drag running around behind it. Let's see what I put on there. So I put some Koch Bros Yazoo Bob, Bobcat lure, and Evanescence, and that's it, and the beaver tail. So let's see what we get. This makes me think of, I remember reading a lot in like old fur fishing games and stuff of folks doing rub sets for bobcats in like cedar thickets and stuff. Makes me think of stuff out west or up north. You don't hear anybody in the south really talking about rub sets, but that's kind of what that made me think of. That pine tree right there on the edge, and little beaver tail there. It's gonna have to, anything coming by, any predator coming by is gonna have to at least look at that. He may not come check it out, but he's gonna have to at least look at that. So here's the bobcat remake from yesterday. I realized I didn't show you. I actually just transplanted another piece of broom sedge. Put the scat there. It's kind of a foot guide. The trap is between the two, just some urine and some gland lure, and there she is. So we'll see what happens. Well, this is not what I like to see. I knew it. I have my camera there, so I knew this was the case. But I had some hogs just absolutely ravage me. Knock the dang, look at that. I don't know if I'll be able to bend that back right. Golly. I am going to take especially a lot of joy out of killing these pigs. You can look and see, I mean, just the incredible amount of damage. Initially, this was a group of about 10, I believe, pigs. And I don't know if you can see that because of the shadow actually, but and then all out through this field. This was an old field that the landowners came in. They hired somebody to come in and clear it, and make it a wildlife opening. And then you can see, I mean, the hogs are just destroying it down in the woods in certain areas. These low-lying spots, they're really making a mess. So we're working on trying to catch them up. So I'm gonna try to get this feeder fixed and put up a couple panels in the early stages of getting my getting the hog trap set up here. Hopefully we're going to catch a big group of pigs. That's a mess. All right, so here's the next step in the process. So this, trying to target hogs and trap hogs like this and target the whole sounder in a large trap. You see this leg is actually bent. I'm gonna have to get a new one, but for the short term, hopefully that electrical tape will hold. I did stake down all of the feet. Should have done that before. Lesson learned. But realistically, I mean, this to do this right, in my opinion, and from some of the experts that I've talked to, you're looking at a month-long endeavor. Realistically, just from the time of initially I put the camera and the feeder just to get hogs habituated coming in on a pattern and get a feel for how many hogs are in the area, the group size and all that. Once I get the hogs coming in consistently, so this setup has been here about a week and a half. Like the second night the pigs got on, and they've been coming every night. 2 nights they skipped last night. There were more pigs than I'd ever seen. Of course, the total destruction. Hopefully we'll prevent that going forward. So now I'm taking kind of baby steps. So I put up 3 of the panels. So this will realistically probably be 10 panels in the gate. I've got my camera, I moved it up a little bit so that I can see over the panels and see down around the feeder. Ideally, I would like to put my gate up first and get the hogs used to coming through the gate before I assemble the rest of the trap. But I'm trying to catch some pigs at another location. I've got a few panels, so I was going to try to go ahead and get a jump on that, see how quickly these hogs respond to these panels being up. But initially, just putting a few panels up, not really being too intrusive to see how they come and respond, and then I'll start, the next go round. They come in here, pretty good, maybe in 3 or 4 days, maybe by the weekend, put a couple more panels up, or maybe put the gate up. And my gate will be across, so the gate will be kind of where I'm standing across from the camera, which is up there in that tree, and that's so I can see, when I get ready to hopefully fire the trap and catch some pigs, I can keep an eye out and see, are there hogs still outside the gate? Do I have the entire group of hogs? And hopefully do a better job of hog control through catching the entire sounder rather than just picking off 1 or 2 here or there. So anyway, man, there's definitely a passel of pigs. They made a destruction of my feeder, but we're back in business hopefully, and so we'll see what happens. Hopefully before long, we'll have some more pigs in the trap. Here's a pro tip that I picked up from Mr. Charlie Mashik with Hoosier Trapper Outdoors. Be sure to watch them on YouTube if you're not already watching them. But this is something I wished I had known years ago because it's so handy and it's so simple. But I've got a bobcat hide here, and I always freeze my stuff, and this applies. Mr. Charlie was talking about it when they're out of state and they're not stretching, they're not putting anything up, so they gotta put everything in the freezer. So, and I do this every year. I freeze my hides during the season, and then after the season, I thaw them and work through them. Well, these bobcats have to have CITES tags, the bobcats and otters, And in Georgia, at least, the hide has to be tagged within 10 days of the closing of the season. Well, I never get everything processed and everything stretched within those 10 days. So I'm trying to thaw things out to where they can put the tags in the hides. And this is a super easy way, but roll it up just like you're going to freeze it. You got your head here with your eye holes, and that's where they that's what makes the most sense to attach the tag, is you put it through the mouth hole and through the eye. It has to be affixed to the hide somewhere. And I don't know who okayed it, but I've seen people that just actually stuck a knife through the hide to where the tag could go through the hide completely, and that's a dumb thing in my opinion. But all you do is take a straw, double it. You can do it singly, but Mr. Charlie recommends doubling it because it just gives you a little bit more hole, and stick it through the eye hole, and there you've got it. It's kind of sticking out on both sides, and so you don't have to have this thing thawed at all, or barely thawed when you let me see, I don't know why my light shut off there, but when you can just take it right out and pop that straw out, and the even without popping the straw out, the way that straw is open, you're going to be able to put that CITES tag in, affix it, no problem whatsoever. There we go again. So that's a super simple tip that I was really happy to see, and I'm using that going forward for sure.